Hello, my name's Florence. Welcome to theobspod. I'm an NHS obstetrician, hoping to share some thoughts and experiences about my working life. Perhaps you enjoy Call the Midwife, maybe birth fascinates you, or you're simply curious about what exactly an obstetrician is. You might be pregnant and preparing for birth. Perhaps you work in maternity and want to know what makes your obstetric colleagues tick, or you want some fresh ideas and inspiration. Whichever of these is the case, and for that matter, anyone else that's interested, the theobspod is for you. Ask the audience. Today's going to be a little bit different. Would you believe it's pretty much 2 years to the day since I released my first ever episode of the theobspod? I can hardly believe this is the case, and I'm coming up to my, wait for it, 100th episode. Now, I like a podcast as much as the next person, and one of the podcasts I've listened to with my husband over lockdown is the history of Rome. It's an unbelievably long show about the ins and outs of first the Roman Republic and then the Roman Empire. When he got to his 100th episode, rather than do a normal episode chronicling history, he asked his audience. He took questions and gave answers about his podcast, about the Romans, about everything. So coming up to my own 100th episode in April, I thought I would throw things open to you, my audience. You may like to tweet me or message me on Instagram at theobspod. Or, if you're up for it, you could send me a voice memo, your own little clip of audio, to my email address, theobspod, all one word, at gmail.com. I've thought of a few questions that I'd like you to potentially answer. And you can answer any or all of them, or go freestyle. First, I'd love to know who you are, what's your name, and why do you listen? Or how did you come across the podcast? Secondly, I'd love to know what, if any, difference listening has made. Has it inspired you to go off and do something? Has it changed the way you think about something? Did it have an impact on your own pregnancy or birth? Are there topics that you'd like me to tackle in the next year? Last year I had some great suggestions. Is there a question that you've always wanted to ask an obstetrician? Obviously, I can't give medical advice on a podcast, but is there something you're curious about? Something you'd like to know about your colleagues or the people that you see during pregnancy? Or you could tell me which is your favourite episode of the theobspod and why. Why is it your favourite? Have you listened to it more than once? Or what's it made you think of? And what would your zesty bits be? If you had to think of a zesty bit for maternity care, I'd love to know your zesty bits, or your zesty ideas perhaps. The only thing I ask is that you're willing for me to share your contribution. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to have to give you a little bit of a deadline. So I'm going to say that any contribution needs to be sent to me by the end of the day, Thursday the 14th of April. I can't wait to see what you're all going to send me. Thanks in advance for all your contributions and, more importantly, for being my audience. So go on, message me. Either email theobspod@gmail.com or tag me or message me on Twitter or Instagram at theobspod. I'll put all the details in the programme notes. If you haven't already written me a review or rated the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcast from, I'd love you to do so. As well as spreading the word. Let other people, family, friends, colleagues know if you've enjoyed listening. I'd love for my 100th episode to have a fantastic celebration with you, my audience. So come on, let's go for it, or JFDI, as we tend to say in Matex.